Looky here, a batch of cypress that Troy brought to us from his parents' place, Beth and Woody. We're going to see what we can get out of this this morning. Okay, I've got to mark out the center on this so I can get it mounted on the lathe properly. Use a little thing that I got at Harbor Freight to, let's see, what do they call these things? Squares, some kind of square. Anyway, just place it on here and make a mark. And so forth, just like that. It gives you a center. Now, I will admit that I did this previously and decided I wanted to do a video of it, so you see a lot of marks there, and that's what my previous markings. But you do it on both ends, and you notice that this one has been marked, and then I also cut a mortise in it that's large enough for my lathe chuck, my big chuck. So how did I do that? How did I cut that in there? Well, I've got a nice DeWalt half-inch drill, hand drill, and on the end there I've got a 2 9/16 Makita switchblade, and what that really is a Forstner bit with a feed screw and with interchangeable blades, and really cuts good. Of course, end grain is the toughest part, and so I had to set it up in a particular way in order to be able to withstand the torque required to bore that hole. And let me show you what I did. This is my table saw. It has a set of extension wings on it, and they've got ribs that stand up just a little higher than the cross members here, and so I can just take this, plop it down in between those ribs. Then I take one of these straps and pull it up tight. Ratchet it down. And that pretty much got it. And I have to move the saw in order to restrain the torque required by this this bit. This bit has a feed screw, as I mentioned, and so it feeds the bit into the wood at a certain speed. That's a little too fast for end grain, so the torque gets pretty intense at times. Eventually it'll strip out the thread, however, and not the metal one, but the threads that it creates inside the log. And you can see this is how it goes. This is really a good combination for lots of purposes in turning. And I've got a 1 3/8 switchblade and a 2 9/16, and those are two good sizes. And I use them for hollowing to get rid of a lot of material, and for this kind of purposes, to create a mortise to mount it on the lathe, mount a piece of wood on the lathe. So let's go to the next step, which is to mount this on the chuck. Okay, we're at the lathe, and I've got my large 5.5 inch chuck on here from Grizzly, and really holds good. And I'm going to mount the chunk of wood in that mortise on these jaws. And I've got this marked centered. See if I can get that in there properly. And I force it into the chuck so that I can get it everything centered. And if I was to tighten the chuck in first, then it would be off center, and it would be working against itself all through the turning process. Now I can tighten up the chuck jaws. Now we're ready to rough turn it. Get my tool rest, get it positioned. Now, one of the things that we want to do is, first of all, this is really cut at an angle. I need to get that a little bit straightened out, and bumping, so I need to back off just a little bit. Need to get that, still bumping. Got a little knot there. And I want to end up, well, this chuck has dovetail jaws, which means they are tapered such that whenever they get a hold of the wood, it's really a positive way to hold on. It has an angular hole such that it grips the wood real well, and it actually sucks it into the wood into the chuck at the same time. So I need to make a dovetail, either mortise or tenon, so that I can then flip it over and chuck it up into my big chuck. So that's our next process. True it up, make the mortise or the tenon, whichever one I decide to do, and we go from there. Going a little too fast.